Welcome, everyone. This is the Program Design and Development webinar by the California 4-H Camp Advisory Committee. And I'm Connie Cotillier, and I'm an independent consultant and camp director. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but I also want you to know that Olivia and John are also going to help with the webinar, and they'll be on in a minute to tell you a little bit about themselves. I've directed camps in Ohio, California, Michigan, and Malaysia. And I also serve as the coordinator for the International Camp Director courses. I've been on the Camp Advisory Committee since it started, and it's a delight to be a part of that group. And I'm very proud of all the things that they've accomplished. So it's nice to be here with you.
Okay, Olivia, would you like to?
Hi, I'm Olivia Brock. I'm a youth camp staff from Sacramento County, and I am on the Camping Advisory Committee this year for the first time.
And I'm John Borba. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Advisor in Kern County, also on the Camp Advisory Committee. I've been on it for a number of years with Mary Ann Bird and a very good bunch of folks who get a lot of work done. I do want to point out a couple of items before we begin. This is the third webinar in a series that's being put on by the Camp Advisory Committee. And at the end of the presentation, we'll show you the link where you could access the other ones that have been recorded along with the PowerPoints that go with them. I do want you to note that you probably already noticed off to the left is what's called the chat box. And if you'd like to type in a question or a comment, you just type it in the open space and press the little balloon and it will post it. During the call, you are welcome if you wanted more clarification and wanted to ask something. By all means, use the phone. However, if you're, what we'd like to do is if you could please press *6 to mute your call. That way we won't hear dogs barking or, things going on in the background. And to unmute your phone, you press *7. And if you look to the left where it says note on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, it gives the instructions again. To mute, press *6. To unmute, press *7. And then finally, one little element we have here, and I'll go up to the very top, is it looks like a little silhouette of a person with their hand raised. And sometime during, if we wanted to do a quick request, Mary Ann has raised her hand, and I will go ahead and raise my hand. What you do is you press it, and you can press raise your hand if you wanted to vote. And it just gives us a little sign of your participation. And to start with, I just out of curiosity, we have 10 folks on the call. And if we could, with a raise of the hand, go up to the little, if you are a teen 4-H member participating in the call, could you raise your hand? Just out of curiosity, if we have any teens other than Olivia. Okay, it looks like we're all adult tonight. Okay, well, very good. All right, thank you. Connie, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, we'll move through, and I hope that if you do have questions, you'll let us know. Evan just raised his hand. Evan, did you have a comment?
He's a teen.
He's a teen. He raised his hand as a teen. Yay, right, Evan, glad you're on. Okay. So how does Evan take his hand raised down now?
He just goes back to the little silhouette at the top and lower. Okay. There you go, lowers hand.
There it went. Okay, we're going to be talking about program design and activities. And as I go through what we hope to accomplish, I just want to make a comment that Designing a camp program is more than just choosing activities and making a schedule. It's absolutely everything that happens during the session at camp. It's what you will do to meet your desired outcomes. So by the end of this webinar, we will have discussed designing a camp program that considers things like the developmental needs of youth, the desired outcomes that you want to accomplish, the benefits that children will receive as a result of being in your program, the features in the camp design that best enable youth development in a camp setting. We'll talk about the program development cycle and kind of go through that. And we'll discuss program organizational designs and camp organizational designs. And we'll go on to Olivia.
Okay, so most camp directors already know the developmental needs, but we're just going to go over them. So the child and youth development needs need to be met at camp partially, and then also physical and health growth and skills that help them with So obviously basic academic skills and knowledge we want to nourish at camp. You know, you want to have educational activities and stuff like that. And we want to work on their social skills and how they work with other campers at camp. We want to get them thinking also and help them work through problems and such like that. And then we want to make sure that they're safe emotionally and physically, and that they're able to work through their emotional problems along with social problems. And then commitment to higher values, teaching them about 4-H or teaching them about whatever it may be at camp. And then vocational skills, how to communicate and communicate independently, all of those sorts of things.
Okay, well, let's now talk about some of the desired outcomes for camp. First of all, what you hope the campers will gain from a camp experience. And if you want to type on the side, what are some of the things that, examples of things that you want campers to get from camp? Yes,
some things like
typing.
Self-reliance, love for the environment.
There we go. Love for the environment, confidence, great. Independence, to go home and learn something, take care of the environment. Making new friends, that's a big one right there. Social skills.
Social skills.
Okay. And Jesselyn is typing. Have fun, meet new people. Outreach, very good. Teamwork, I was waiting for that one.
Oh, I like that one, outside their comfort zone.
Yep. Okay, very good. One more thing, maybe I missed it, but if somebody else will type, and I know I never really thought about this until joining this committee, and Mary Ann pointed out to me community living, getting to, maybe you're an only child and you've never had to share a room with people before, so it also gives you that element. So those are some of the things that you'll hope campers gain from camp. Now, what are some of the parents' expectations for camp? And if you could just type a few of your thoughts, what those might be.
Oh, safety. That's always number one.
Yeah, number one, excellent. Yeah, safe environment. Yep. Yeah, everybody's in agreement with that. Yeah. They'll come home happy. You'll learn something new. Very good. Enriching. good, because if you're the parent, you want all these things. You want you always want the best for your children. Reasonable schedule. Try new activities, and they don't do on a daily basis, right? Not every day you get to go canoeing. And decent food, okay, and not bullied. Yes, exactly. Okay, and I will throw in, and Evan is tight. Yeah, not. I will throw in one more thing, and I don't like to throw in stories a lot of times, but this is a great example of a parent's expectation. My friend in Montana, Todd Kestner, his first time as a county 4-H agent, he put on a summer camp, and the day after they got back from camp, after a week, he had a mother call him and say, "I sent my son to camp with 6 clean pair of underwear. He came home with 6 clean pair of underwear." Don't you people check for that kind of thing? So, hygiene that's one of the things too, but parents do have their expectations as well. And what would you hope that teen staff gain from the camp experience? Responsibility, leadership growth, leadership experience. Yeah, getting the chance to do it. Patience, learning to work with kids even though they may be difficult. Ability to work with adults, that's a great one. Yep. Learn to work with all ages and teamwork. Work out of your comfort zone. Good list. Exactly the things we were hoping you'd hit on. Learn to work with difficult situations and make good choices. Exactly. Youth development for teens, youth development for the campers as well. So thank you for participating. So how they differ, as you can see, what the components of what the parents are looking for may vary a little bit from what the campers might for the campers and for the staff, but there's always those key elements of learning new things, being safe, not bullied, being responsible. So I thank you for participating with that part. The next thing I want to talk about, excuse me, is what we want our youth and teens to develop, and that's the concept of self-reflection, or the 6 C's. And if you can, yeah, there we go. If you can see, it's called this Thriving Wheel. And if you've ever looked in some of the more modern 4-H curricula, you will find that this is posted in there. And the concept of self-reflection is one of the main things of the 4-H club, because you think about it, when a 4-H member does a record book or project activities, there's that self-reflection part, especially with a record book. These 6 C's were defined by Dr. Richard Lerner from Tufts University, and he's kind of the guru of youth development. He worked at the Institute for Applied Research in Youth Development, and this model is one he created. So the 6 C's theory of positive youth development identifies 6 important characteristics to help young people grow and thrive as adults. And research has shown that youth who have higher levels of all of these C's tend to have more positive behavior and better outcomes than some of the kids who have lower levels of these. So let's talk about the 6 C's. And the first one is competence. And if you see on the it's on the top of the wheel there, and it encompasses quite a large portion there. So it's basically a positive view of yourself, confidence in competence in your skills, your knowledge and abilities. Confidence, and that is a sense of positive self-worth. You feel resourceful, and you're self-confident. Connection. This is having positive bonds and relationships. Tying in with people and institutions. Whether they be schools or your community, faith-based organizations. Nobody wants to feel like the new kid in school where you don't have the connections where everybody else does. We're a gregarious animal, and we like to be part of something. Character, and that's respect for your fellow citizens, the law, having a sense of right and wrong, basically, a good moral compass. And caring, that's having a sense of sympathy toward others, empathy, being able to, understand how they're feeling, and compassion. And this is so important in today's day and age. And I don't know about you, but when I see on television, on the news, they'll show someone who's been in an accident or is being attacked, and rather than someone caring and coming to help, you've got 20 people standing around in a circle filming them with their cell phone. It shows a severe lack of caring, and we want our youth to develop and be caring. And finally, the sixth C is contribution, giving back to family, giving back to the community, and the very institutions of society. And it's the old model of, we want our youth to come out of this program and be solid citizens.
So how do we make all of these things happen? This is looks like a complicated cycle, but it's really what all the steps in designing a program. And as we talked about, you talked about your mission or philosophy and the parents' needs and interests, what 4-H hopes you will accomplish as a part of their program. And then it's kind of in a wheel. So you start by, okay, we're going to have a camp. We need to secure some resources. We need to look at some influencing factors. And those are things like the weather, the age we want to serve, the number, the site we want to use, the session length or the equipment, and the quality of the staff. So all of those influence the program that you're going to have. Then you get down to the actual program organizational design, and we'll talk about that a little later. But the next step then is to design your staff organization. How are you going to put together the youth staff and the adult roles that you have in camp to have a good staff organization? Then you come to the point of selecting program activities. That's the fun part, and often is where a lot of people start, but there's lots of things that have to happen to make a complete program design. You have to consider balance, flow, progression, and teachable moments, and Olivia will talk about those in a little bit. Operating procedures. So for every activity, you have a set of safety rules, you have a set of procedures, you have operations for everything from how you clean up to your food service to your activities. Then you begin your staff training, and that's after you've selected the staff that you want. The staff training comes in, and in 4-H that happens way ahead of the time for camp. Then you look at what is the schedule going to be for the camp, and then how do you go about implementing the program. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, is to evaluate the program that you did. Did we really accomplish the outcomes that we wanted to accomplish? And as you probably know, we have some outcome measurement tools so that we feel pretty strongly about being able to document if we are in fact meeting the outcomes that we want to meet. So that's kind of the wheels of a progression through designing a program. There's a couple different organizational designs. There may be more than this, but I want to present to you 2 different organizational designs. And they have to do about decisions you need to make about how people move about. Do they move about in your program in what I'm going to call centralized, which is as individuals? Does each camper go as an individual to the activities or to the things that are happening? Or do they go as a group, and that's decentralized? So it's important to decide how you're going to organize your camp as to how people will move about through the program, through the day, through everything that happens in the day. And then you need to decide who makes the decisions about that. Is it structured? Is it from the top down? Does the administration and the key planners design the whole program and they schedule when everybody's going to do what they're going to do, and this is what it looks like? Or do campers actually have a chance to be a part of that decision? Do they have some choices, or do they have a lot of choices about what their program is going to be? So these are two concepts: how people move about and who makes the decisions. Raise your hand if you kind of got that idea, what that means. Kind of like to see where we are. Okay, it's looking good. Are there any questions about that? Okay, so we're looking at how people move about and who makes the decisions. So if you want to put your hand down, if you have it up, or if you haven't had a chance, you may be on the phone, so it's okay. So we'll go on to the second part of this. And this is, if we take those concepts and we put them into a chart, they would look like this. So if it's structured and centralized, then that means that the schedule is designed by the camp and individuals, centralized, that come to assigned activities led by specialists or counselors. So each person is coming along as an individual to a set of structured activities. That's structured and centralized. Structured and decentralized, again, the schedule is designed by the camp for the age or interest of groups. And so the difference here is whether it's as individuals or as a group. And they stay together with their counselor. That probably leads most of the activities, except for maybe some that have to have some certification. If all the counselors are certified in everything, then the counselors can lead all the activities. So those are both structured, but one is with an individual. As individuals, they move around, and the other is as a group. Then there's two other concepts, and that's unstructured and centralized. So these activities are selected by the campers, by the individuals, and they're led by specialists or counselors. It's unstructured, and it's for individuals who move around as individuals to different activities that they select. And the last one is unstructured and decentralized. These are activities that are selected by groups that stay together with their counselor that leads most of the activities. So the campers have, as a group, selected their activities. So there's a lot of give and take in that, so that the group can decide what activities they want to do while they're together. And then they go as a group to those activities. Can you kind of picture where your camp is? If you put your hands up, how many think, well, let me also say that you might do a combination of these. You might do some in the morning and some in the afternoon. Let me ask a first question, and that question is, put your hand up if you think you are primarily structured. That's top down. And there's no right or wrong. This is what you want to plan and understand to actually accomplish your outcomes. So a lot of you are thinking that you're pretty structured, everything is kind of designed from the top down. My guess, being 4-H, that a lot of that structure involves the team staff. So the team staff are helping to design, but the campers may not be doing any of the designing. It is all coming from the individuals that are in charge, the staff or the directors. Okay, how many of you think that you are unstructured, or is that just people who aren't online? You put your hands down from the first question, so we can get an idea here. Thank you. Okay, so if you think that the campers actually choose their activities. Anybody want to raise their hand for those? They select what activities they're going to do. Okay, so we're looking at mostly structured. How about those that move around the camp to go to the activities as a group? Raise your hand. Okay, so it looks like structured and decentralized mostly. Okay, why don't you put your hands down? And does anybody think that they have something different in that? And if so, would you type something in that you do?
We have some comments on the left there by Jesselyn and Diane.
You have stations in the morning, okay? You like the kids to have as much choice as possible. Okay, so if you somebody said if we're out in the middle of nowhere and if you don't have supplies for an activity, you're out of luck. So you can still have a variety of activities that you would be ready for them to choose, but they would have more choice in it, in what activities they're doing. So you still have to be prepared with resources. So Diane, during the summer camp, we like crafts and hiking. So is crafts and hiking selected by the kids? And do they do it as a group or is it selected by the staff? Okay, so Robert says that the kids are allowed to pick some predetermined activities on a set schedule. Okay, so you have some times when things happen, but the kids get to pick what they want to do. So prepared, yes, but only can bring so many supplies. Okay, can pick games that you don't need and let the kids choose. Okay. Staff prepare the activities. Team leaders present the games. Okay. So this is not, like I said, there's no right and wrong. It's a matter of deciding what you want to do to really accomplish your goals. So if you're trying to build responsibility or confidence, is there one way that might help you do that more than another? Or would you do some time where they have some choice, like Joanne said, they have some free time too where they can choose. So there's lots of ways of doing that. They may have some activities that require special certified, like swimming, and so those may be scheduled. Probably most everybody has a scheduled meal time. But like I said, everything that happens in camp is part of program. So the activities maybe later in the afternoon might have more individuals doing it and not as a group. But you have to decide as you're designing your camp which one of these or which combination of these you would choose to do. Diane also has a structured flag ceremony, okay? And so I would guess in that it's maybe a group and the flag ceremony, but they might be assigned by the group. The group may have some say in what they're going to do in their ceremony, or is it structured so that it's given to them and they just perform it? So Mary Ann said for our weekend camp, we want kids to learn specific information, so the program is very structured. Sometimes I think you're trying to meet certain requirements for an award or maybe school standards, and so you want things to be structured. And so your outcomes for that are different than you want kids to learn to make decisions and choices. So Diane said, right, they bring out the colors, okay. So they sort of act out or enact what the plan is for the flag ceremony. And Jocelyn said pretty structured the whole time, about 85 to 15 split, okay. Cabin group raises the flag, Diane says. Okay, so there is some grouping, and that group may plan some of the flag ceremony, or it may be just given to them and they just read the script. It depends on how much you want the kids to be involved in making decisions and how they move about. So in that case, it's a cabin, so it's a group, so it's decentralized. You might have individuals volunteer to do flags, and then it would be centralized, would be by individuals. So you see how any combination of this can be put together, and when you're looking at your schedule then, you want to decide how you want to design the camp. So either you're structured or unstructured, centralized or decentralized. Okay. So you want to tell activities for camp? Is Olivia still on? Am I still on?
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. I'm back. Okay, so switching activities for camp, it can be the easiest part or it can be the hardest part of designing your program. So you might have a whole lot of options and you're going to have to funnel them down into a few choices that you can then choose from. It could also be the easiest part if you know exactly what you want, you know exactly the information that you want to get across, and you have a specific schedule that you want to follow. So the activities that you choose should be reflective of the things that you want the campers and the teen staff to achieve by the end of the week. So you also want to make sure that the counselors will be able to actually effectively participate and lead those activities. And you also want to make sure that the campers are gaining something and that it's not too easy for them. So this goes along with the next slide, but you also want to make sure that your activities can have some sort of diversity, or they can have everything at once. They can be challenging, exciting, or boring and repetitive. So you want to make sure that you're not doing all boring activities all day or all high energy activities all day, that you have some sort of breaks in between of high energy or of something that's a little quieter and less energy.
That probably, Olivia, is from year to year, too. You want to make sure that it's not repetitive, that so everything when they come back the next year is exactly the same as it was the year before.
Yeah, so you want to maybe include something that they can build on year from year of going to camp.
Okay, which actually kind of plays into the next step here, which is progression of activities. So planning a program where one activity and or skill builds on the previous experience. You know, it's just like you when you go to elementary school. You start off in first grade, next year second grade, third grade, etc., and you're progressing and you're learning more each time. You know, think about it. If you were a camper and you started in the fourth grade and you went 4 years in a row to camp, and every year when you came back to camp it was the same same craft activity or the same science activity, you do the same thing every time, it can become repetitive and boring. So you want to challenge it up and even perhaps build in different levels. So if you have a science activity, you know, kind of like how they'll have the junior ranger program where you'll advance and do different activities, or in archery where you can earn different levels of shooting proficiency, something to where it builds upon itself and takes the boredom out of it, especially for those campers who come back every year. A little bit of variety and balance, having some quiet activities, some high energy activities like Olivia had mentioned, some with small motor skills, crafts, that type of thing, or some with large motor skills, hiking, soccer, that type of thing. And the importance is to have a mixture and a variety, because you have a mixture of variety of age groups and personalities of your campers. A little bit about the flow and pace. The flow is the progression of the week from its very start, getting acquainted, to the end of the camp. That's how the camp flows. As an example, years ago I worked at a camp where on the last night the counselors would go around from cabin to cabin and serenade the campers, and it was actually quite moving and excellent activity for as it flowed for the end of camp. That would not have fit in well in the beginning or in the middle, so it had a good flow. Pace is similar in that it's more of the tempo of camp. So, having high energy activities, low energy activities, and as in most camps, they'll have a lunch, and then afterward they'll have a rest or quiet period, to kind of slow things down before they get them back into the activity. So the pace of the camp is very important, just like the tempo in a song. Now, a teachable moment is spontaneous and may interfere with planned activities. And I have to tell you, just as some people have a problem, I don't want to say a problem, but I'm the type of person, I should have been a German train conductor, because I'm very much, if it's 9 o'clock, we should be here, and that type of thing. But there are times when I have to put that in my back pocket, and it's important to allow for discovery about things. And a perfect example is years ago I was at a camp, and I can tell you we were going from one activity to another. I don't remember what those two activities were, but in between those activities, someone discovered, and I didn't even know they do this, grasshoppers hatch underground, and they come to the surface, and they're real small. And of all the things from camp, that was a teachable moment where all the kids got to see, grasshoppers hatching and surfacing in the morning sun, where, whether we were going to archery or swimming, it didn't matter. That was a teachable moment that was we took the advantage of. So don't be afraid to steer off course for a little bit to catch those teachable moments.
I think another teachable moment, John, before we go into the schedule there, that is so important is if there is a problem within the group, that you take the time to talk about it and discuss it, so that it doesn't, we can't talk about that now because we've got to be at swimming.
Right.
And the problem just grows. So it's better to finish a discussion, take the time, and solve the problem or handle the situation when it needs to be handled. Okay, let's go on to the schedule.
Okay, so this schedule here is just one way of doing it, and this is pretty indicative of my camp, so I'm going to give some different examples. So the basic way that our camp runs is there are different tribes of the campers, all mixed ages from 9 to 16, and that's who they spend most of the day with, doing activity rotations, and then big whole camp events like a sports event or like Water Olympics, like that sort of thing. And then they have their cabin groups, which are people of the same gender and age for them that they sleep within their cabin, and they spend like morning, night, and then like one hour a day after lunch with them in their cabin. So on this schedule here, you can see that it's pretty full on most of the areas. So you have the health screening on the first day, that sort of thing, rise and shine, cabin cleanup, flag raising, then breakfast, and then activity 1 for that day. So an example, so let's say Tribe A has archery in the morning and canoeing in the afternoon. Tribe B might have soccer in the morning and archery in the afternoon. And throughout the week, they're going to complete every activity. They're just doing it at a different time than the other tribe groups. So for this one, then what we would have is like one activity, then we would have lunch, then we'd have what we call barefoot time, which is sitting in the cabins and like decompressing from lunch, and then a little bit of a snack, and then they'd go to their second activity, or depending on the day, they'd have a big event like a whole camp scavenger hunt, or a like an Olympics that we do where they compete in different relay races. And then flag lowering, and at our camp it is assigned to different tribes each morning. And then there's an evening program. So one night we have a dance. One night we'll have campfires all over camp, and we'll do s'mores. In the past we've done movies, that sort of thing, and then in cabins and lights out. And then throughout the day, there's different things that are mixed in, like at our camp we have somewhat of like a chore list where each tribe does a different chore each day. So, you know, Tribe A cleans the bathroom on Monday, Tribe B does breakfast, dishes, that sort of thing like that. And so different things like that, or another big thing we have is free time, where about an hour or 2 hours on a couple of days of the week, the kids will get to sign up for what activity they want to do. So the youth staff come up with different ideas that they will run, 1 or 2 youth staff per activity. So they have a huge range of things they can do. They can do story time. They can do any of the activities that we do during the day, like archery, canoeing, swimming. They can do arts and crafts. They can do magic or theater or singing, yoga, all those sorts of things. But they have to go to that specific activity. So basically their whole day is planned out for them, and they get to make a few choices, but not too many. So that's a basic rundown of that.
So, Olivia, this is then pretty structured and assigned, right? And
yes.
There's, like you said, some choice in the free time. Do they move around as a group? I think you said that they're with their group in the morning and in the evening and maybe after lunch. And the times they go to the activities, is that as a group or as individuals?
Well, somewhat individuals, but they always have to be in groups of like 3 just because of safety reasons, because of wildlife around. So they have somewhat of individuality, but they still have to like be within groups of 3 or 4.
When they get to the activity or when they're moving around?
When they're moving around.
Okay. So they meet somewhere and they get into a group and then they go to the activity?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So are there any questions about that schedule?
It sounds like it's pretty common for a lot of the camps that this is a schedule.
Yes.
Okay, this second schedule looks pretty blank. And this is a schedule that is really for an unstructured, decentralized program. There are certain activity periods, morning and afternoon, but the kids actually as a group or individually, but in this case it's designed as a group. They sign up for what activities as a group they want to do. And they sign up on a giant chart that shows where everybody is all the time. And if somebody is signed up for archery at a certain time, only so many people can attend archery at that time, so they have to find another time when they want to do archery, as an example. But by the time they spend a little time planning what they want to do and when they want to do it, and then put it on the chart, it takes about 3 hours. So all of the campers are involved in designing and planning when they want to do their activities. And in some cases, they want to do things that don't actually fit into the time blocks. For instance, they could choose on Tuesday to take an all-day hike and take their lunch with them. And they would actually be on that hike from, say, 11 o'clock, maybe get back at 4 and want to go swimming after their long hike, and they have signed up for swimming after their hike. So it's very definitely an unstructured program. There are some structured things in it, but most of those structures, even the evening programs, are up to the group as to whether or not they want to participate in that as a group. So even evening programs are in a group. It could be that sometimes the evening programs might be as individuals, or you might add some different elements into it. But it looks different than a schedule that's all pre-planned ahead of time. This doesn't mean it's unorganized. It has to be super organized to allow for all that to happen. So the two schedules give you kind of two different ways of looking at doing a program design. Are there any questions on this schedule?
There's a question from Diane.
Do you always put an individual's assigned activities on their name necklace? No, because they're always together with their counselor in a group, if that's what you mean. Looks like Diane's. So they stay with the same group and they rotate through whatever activities they choose. And that everybody in camp schedule looks different. They sign up at a certain time block, like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. One group will be doing archery and another group will sign up for swimming. And we can only have 50 people at the pool at a time. So when they hit 50, they have to do a different activity and they can do swimming another time. Sometimes the younger kids need a little help. We have 7-year-olds, so sometimes the 7-year-olds need a little more help in deciding what they want to do because they've never done any of it before. Where the older kids pretty much know what they want to do. If they've been there before, they know that they want to have a chance to hike out to a special place that's going to take several activity periods, and so they can do that. Okay, our camp isn't able to be structured like that. We only have certain activities available to us at certain times because those coming with to help with archery swimming. Okay. So yours is dependent upon who you have as specialists that might come and help with things, and that's a reality. You either have staff that or specialists that can be there, so you may only offer one archery on Wednesday. So if they want archery, they have to sign up for it on Wednesday. We're pretty far out in the middle of nowhere too, and we bring what's typically needed and don't have problem with supplies. Okay, so you also move with cabins and pair up so they can be together at different stations. That's a good idea. We have one working phone too, that's it. We don't count on phones much. And we have no internet. You know, these are all things, Jocelyn, that you're bringing up that are really important. And they're the things that I was talking about when we were talking about different factors, different features that affect your program. So it's the weather, it's how far you are, it's what your site's like, it's what activities. If you don't have a swimming pool, you better not schedule swimming, or if you don't have a lake or someplace to do that. So you have to also take into consideration what's even possible on your site. Okay, any other questions on this? Olivia or John, anything that you would add to that?
No.
I think you got it.
Okay. Well, we have some, I think, this is just open for any other questions that anyone has. What we're trying to show you is there's a whole variety of ways to do a schedule, but the ultimate is what you want to accomplish in your outcomes and what's the best way to do that. Sometimes it's not the easiest way to do it, but it's the way that you will see the best achievement of those benefits that you're looking for as a change in the kids as a result of the camp experience. So you have guards that don't stay all night, but you have a river. Okay, so they travel up twice during the week. So if you were doing a more unstructured program, that's the 2 times that they could sign up for that. And she's asking about buddy requests. Many of you have a buddy request on your registration sheet.
My camp has that.
Yeah, mine does too. People who are especially bringing somebody brand new, that helps kids be comfortable. Yeah, it helps them know someone. Sometimes people put a limit to the number. It can only be one buddy, and the buddy has to request the other buddy. Otherwise, they're not put together. Do you assign cabins or let the kids? I think that, again, depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Some of you put groups together by a variety of ages and experiences. Some camps put them together by age groups or by experience level, so that and you know, boys in one group and girls in another. So there's some things that you've put there by different new to camp. So Tammy doesn't have any cabins, so they're able to sleep by their friends and spend free time with them. And you also don't want all one cabin to be from the same 4-H unit. Yeah, sometimes if you don't know that, I make mine, I separate them by zip code. So they're not with the same neighborhood kids, but they do get to choose one. Letting kids pick cabin, it was really hard to get them to settle down. I can imagine that would be true. Yeah, I think you have to look at again, what you want to accomplish. And if the design that you do means that somebody gets left out or someone is not able to really benefit from the experience, like the one that gets left out, you need to think about, could we design it in any way that makes everybody comfortable? Okay, here's some additional resources. On the, John, you want to go through these?
Sure.
You can tell them where they are. They're on the resources.
Right. As part of the California 4-H program, there is a 4-H camp website, and on that website we try to put the materials that we have that are resources for you folks who are putting on and planning camps. The first one is a resource. It covers some of the same things that Connie had mentioned here earlier and Olivia. It's actually like a resource guide. You fill out a little survey, and then after you click it, it'll take you to some resources for planning a camp. And then the second one that you see here, if you're interested in the other two webinars that have been posted, one is on camper behavior and the other is, boy, it escapes me, but there's two of them posted.
The youth staff training.
Thank you, youth staff training. And then the this one, when it's all wrapped up, and hopefully I've pushed all the correct buttons, we'll get it posted up there as well.
Okay, I think there was one other question there. Has anyone taken the 20-hour camp director course online? Is that the one with ACA? Yes. Yes, there's lots of good information on that one. Tammy's asking for the link. I think you just go to the American Camp Association website and look for education, and you'll find it there.
Okay, well, we're just right about at our hour. I want to thank our presenters, Connie Cotillier and Olivia Brock. I want to thank everybody else for joining us tonight. And if you enjoyed this, I hope you did. We're planning more in the future, and we'll always let you know the same way through emails through your staff and those of you who have attended previous camp sessions. So thank you. And I've got one more comment being. Oh, okay. Thank you. We appreciate you joining.
I was just going to say, if you have other questions around program design, you might also let the advisory committee know, because that may help us with planning some workshops and things.
And if you didn't realize, every other year this committee plans and hosts a 4-H, well, actually a camp conference. We allow other groups too to attend, but we had one last year in 2000. We had one this year, 2016. So our next one will be in 2018. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.